Thursday, June the 1st, 1967. On that hot, sticky summer morning, I'm waiting outside a record shop in London's West End, waiting for the doors to open so I can pick up a copy of the new Beatles album, Sgt Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. A few weeks before, the DJ, the legend that was Kenny Everett, played the whole album on the pirate radio station Radio London. It had stunned and amazed us all. At the time, the Beatles, along with Muhammad Ali, were probably the biggest stars on the planet, and anything they did was headline news, from buying a packet of cigarettes to buying a newspaper. But they had been strangely quiet for about a year. The day before Everett's broadcast, Brian Epstein, the Beatles manager, had held what I guess was the first launch party for an album at his home in Belgravia for music journalists and disc jockeys. And everyone who attended spoke about the brilliance, the invention of Sgt Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Like I said, the album was released on the Thursday, and everywhere you went over that weekend in London's West End, the record shops, the clothing boutiques, the alternate cafes, all had the album on seemingly constant repeat. It's hard to kind of explain, but you felt like the world was changing, and swinging London started to swing a lot more. The air was alive with tales of Mr. Kite. Lucy was in the sky. We fixed holes and we left home. We were introduced to Billy Shears countless times. We read the news and found that there were actually 4,000 holes in Blackburn, Lancashire, and sitars shimmered in the London streets. Now, on Sunday, the 4th of June, another rock legend was given a concert at the Savile Theatre in Shaftesbury Avenue, London. Now, like I said, everywhere you went, you couldn't get away from Sgt Pepper. So what did Jimmy do? He came straight out and opened with the title track, Sgt Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. To do that with the Beatles, who were actually in attendance that night, takes some balls. Paul McCartney. Jimmy was a sweetie, a really nice guy. I remember him opening at the Savile on a Sunday night. It was the 4th of June, 1967. Brian Epstein used to rent it when it was usually dark on the Sunday. Jimmy opened, the curtains flew back, and he came walking forward, playing Sgt Pepper. And it had only been released on the Thursday, so that was like the ultimate compliment. It's still obviously a shining memory for me, because I admired him so much anyway. He was so accomplished. To think that album had meant so much to him as to actually do it by the Sunday night, 3 days after the release. He must have been so into it, because normally it might take a day for rehearsal and then you might wonder whether you'd put it in. But he just opened with it. It's a pretty major compliment in anyone's book. I put it down as one of the great honours of my career. I mean, I'm sure he wouldn't have thought of it as an honour. I'm sure he thought of it as the other way round. But to me, that was like a great boost. Paul also tells another story about that gig. He says that after extensive use of the whammy bar, Jimmy's guitar was hopelessly out of tune. So Jimmy then calls out into the audience, "Is Eric here?" hoping that EC would retune it for him. Eric apparently made himself very anonymous. Jimi Hendrix had always been a huge fan of the Beatles, performing Day Tripper, Rain, Norwegian Wood and others while playing in New York in 1966. In fact, around 1969, he wanted to form a supergroup with Paul McCartney as the bassist. One last thing. It's been said many times over the years how when Jimmy came to the UK, he terrified British guitarists like Clapton, Beck, Townsend. Nah, not as far as I saw. It was just mutual admiration. In late 1966, Cream were playing a gig at the London Polytechnic. Jimmy and Eric met, and halfway through Cream's set, Hendrix was invited on to play. He did a killer version of the Howlin' Wolf song, Killing Floor. Eric Clapton. He played just about every style you could think of, and not in a flashy way. I mean, he did a few of his tricks like playing with his teeth and playing behind his back, but it wasn't in an upstaging sense at all, and that was it. He walked off, and my life was never the same again. Thank you for listening. Please stay safe, Stay well, please give us a like or a dislike, please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.